of Youth Power NGO. She's mostly working on the issues of gender studies. She is also an expert of Council of Europe, national expert, and she's also a lecturer at Yerevan State University on women's rights, gender issues. She's a gender issues researcher, and she's doing a great job in Armenia and in global regional level as well. So the floor is yours, Ani.
Thank you, Narina. Thank you, everyone who is with us. On behalf of Youth Power NGO, and I also want to welcome every single participant who is with us now. As introduced, I'm Ani, and I'm one of the speakers of this session. We're going to talk about gender policies and gender issues and practices in Armenia, and we're going to present also our work and activities in network, what we have done during the recent years. Just a few words. Thank you for introduction, Narina, but a few words again about me, that in order for you to see and to merge your expectations and what I'm going to present actually. I am a gender studies and women's rights scholar, and I'm a lecturer of gender and communication and language, and I'm also a gender studies trainer, gender issues trainer in Youth Power NGO. I have started actually my research path in gender issues and in women's rights about 10 years ago. And we have been in touch with Narina even long before that, and we have been actually doing some work also on non-formal education, intercultural communication, and step by step we also merged our interests on gender issues in Armenia, and we started collaborating and designing trainings for local and regional young people and trainers on gender issues and women's rights, on which we are going also today to talk and present. But before, I would like to talk on policies actually that exist in Armenia on gender issues. Let me change the slide, please. Now, will it change, or shall I share my screen? Okay, thank you. So, there are a number of policies actually, and okay, probably I will need to share mine then. Okay. So, can you see this? Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay. So, I have the number of policies, but I have picked the ones that are really important on one hand, or on the other hand, they are controversial and there are lots of disputes on them. And but before while introducing policies, I will also have some words on history, because it's another thing that we have policy and some documents and legislation, but on the other hand, it's important to see what would happen.
Sorry, Annie. It would be better without the how do you say that?
Okay.
Yes, because we can't hear you very well. Try again.
Okay. Okay.
Ah, c'est pire.
Hear me now. Zero.
And without the video, because I think you're having some connection problems.
Okay.
Try it now.
Okay.
It's better.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Ça va pas être facile. Hein.
Mari, can you hear me?
Let's go. Let's see if we hear you well. Let's try.
Okay, so while introducing policies and documents that exist in Armenian gender issues, I will simultaneously present some historical facts because it's important to see what we have even before this legislation and these policy papers exist today. So I'll have to, as I've already told you, the most important papers, just to mention about them, only two. So we have, first of all, Constitution, the Armenian Constitution, which actually has a separate article, which is Article 30, on men and women equality. But it took, which was adopted actually in 1995, then readopted and approved in 2005 and 2015. But simultaneously, the government was designing different separate documents and policies and strategies actually on gender issues and on women's rights as well. So the most important one probably appeared in 2013, which was initially called, and most importantly called, Law on Gender Equality. But later there was a much dispute on the term gender. In 2013, anti-gender movement started, the so-called conservative or traditional units and movements appeared actually, which spread a lot of manipulation of the term gender itself. And the parliament called back this law and renamed it actually Law on Ensuring Equal Rights and Equal Opportunities to Women and Men. The next law, which is really important again to have, that was the law on domestic violence, because before that we didn't have a law, and domestic violence was legalized actually. But what happened again? Again, these kinds of units and national movements or national movements or the so-called traditional conservative movements appeared, emerged. And they started again fighting that we're done with this domestic violence, this is anti-traditional family values, and they will just spoil traditional family as a unit, not needed. So later, the law on domestic violence was turned or paraphrased into the following one: Law on Prevention of Violence in Family, Protection of the Abused Ones in Family, and Family Restoration of Solidarity in Family. So again, experts in gender studies, scholars and women's rights defenders argue on this law because we have to know, but there are again lots of manipulations in them and lots of articles, though they are fixed in our paper, but they don't work. And we don't have efficient and credible mechanisms that will provide us this law to function and to be applied actually. And the next paper, which is really again important, is the new strategy of our, which is called Gender Strategy and its Action Plan, which is developed by the government. And it includes 2019 to 2023, and it targets 5 priorities, which you can see in the paper. This is promotion of women and men equal access and participation in governance and decision making. Then fighting gender discrimination in social and economic sphere, and giving opportunities or promoting economic rights to women and men equally. Then promotion of equal participation and expansion of women's rights and men's rights and equal opportunities in education and science, and expansion of women and men's equal rights and opportunities in health system. And the last priority is prevention of gender discrimination. This is a very, very important actually strategic paper to have, but it was just approved or passed a few months ago. So it's totally new, and there is so much work to do here in connection with this. And I also decided to put here 2 papers that Armenia actually international legal bills or papers that Armenia either joined, signed, or ratified. The first one is CEDAW, which is the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Armenia ratified this even in 1993. And the second one, actually, and the second one, which is really important one, is the Istanbul Convention, which if we open the convention, it reads as Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence. Though Armenia signed this in January, but the fact is that it hasn't ratified it yet. And again, the so-called traditional movements appeared, conservative units appeared, and they say that this convention is going to spoil actually family traditions, traditional conservative traditions, without even, of course, this is a manipulation again, but actually this manipulated really even the government, and right now government somehow kind of like gave a stop policy here before ratifying it, and much is going on around this convention right now. So these are on the one hand official papers and policy papers we have actually in Armenia, and now let's see what we have in reality or in practices. But before that, I promised that I will introduce a few words, but in a few words, some historical facts. And here we go. So on the one hand, we have this paper, and I've already mentioned that the Constitution of Armenia also has some special articles of equality on women's rights and men's rights. But even long before, just a century ago, it's important to have and to mention the fact that Armenia was really progressive at the time, and even though the Western world was trying to fight for vote rights for women, Armenia already had the first Republic of Armenia in 1918, from 1918 to 1920, had already members at the parliament, women members at the parliament. We also had one of the first ambassadors or honorary consuls, women honorary consuls, or the first diplomatic who had a diplomatic position, and this was Diana Afgar. And in Western Armenia, we have very progressive women writers, whose names you can also see in the PowerPoint presentation, who claimed and wrote about women's role, women's rights, and position in society. And even long before that, in the Middle Ages, we had an Armenian scholar who was also a priest, and he wrote the criminal code that according to which he prohibited violence against women and put penalties, granted a right to women to divorce in case of unfulfillment of the husband, and he also wrote about women's property rights, a recognition and respect of women's honor and dignity. Like, just imagine this was 8th, 9th century ago. But what we have now, we have this traditional, all the so-called, as I've already mentioned, conservative groups that claim that we don't need those laws, we don't need those conventions actually, because they are damaging our traditional values. And it's really important for all researchers, for civil society, for women's defenders or activists, try to even argue and say, what is the traditional value, the real traditional value? Because if we go back to history, to Armenian history, we will see that there was much respect to women's rights at that time, and that the violence was not tolerated in history at all. And the last slide that I would like to present in this session is about practices. What we have, well, we have right now, I don't know how many participants we have right now join us, and I don't know who these participants are, so it's really, really important just to give a general clue actually for all participants to know a few facts on what's going on in Armenia and what society culture we have right now. So society is very patriarchal and it's very conservative. So as I've already mentioned, during the last decade, the so-called movement and in terms of policies also started moving forward. And it's important to mention that social institutions, particularly in this case, media and education, are also highly gendered. So there are a number of research papers that show that media materials, including Armenian soap operas, including advertisements, and also education materials like school textbooks are really gendered in Armenia, which directly influences the normalization and standardization of these gendered practices, traditional gendered practices. And we have also links to these research papers, and it was not only our work, but also work of other experts, Armenian experts that did a great job on this. So later, if you're interested, Narine will pass the links. And as for the issues, a few words about issues. What issues we have? Well, gender issues exist regardless of the limits and borders of this or that country. But there are some certain issues that are really urgent. So the first is domestic violence and femicide in Armenia. Though I have mentioned about the law on domestic violence, well, which is not even the domestic violence, but the law on prevention of violence in family. It still doesn't function fully, and women are not protected at all. And it must be encourage women to fight this, and internally, and then to also externally, and try to protect their rights. The next issue is selective abortion. Unfortunately, this is a real and urgent issue for us, and the recent years, Armenia has been among the top listed countries that faces this problem. And the next is, again, I've mentioned that social institutions directly influences normalization of gender stereotypes, particularly on women. And we can see also this gender discrimination targeting women through media in different discourses like politics. So right now we have a number of parliament members, women parliament members, but as even the recent month has shown, there was so much discrimination and lots of targeting on women political figures just because of their image, just because of their speech, and trying to show, in brackets, trying to show her place that politics is considered to be a harsh place for a woman, and sometimes targeting her speech and showing that she's a woman first of all, and she should first of all take care of her image. So, but right now what's happening, a few years ago, you couldn't see even on social media lots of criticism of this. Now, very many young men, many young women, many young activists, and students and professionals condemn such kind of behavior, and at least this can be also observed through social media campaigns that try to protect women's rights or protect these women being targeted. Labor rights is also another issue in Armenia, and particularly women are facing this problem. And because we don't probably have much time, I will try to be brief here. Just a few words, and globally we know that COVID-19 actually brought lots of how to say challenges for women as well, particularly for women, and this was not exception in Armenia as well. So we have on the one hand state or police statistics that states that it's not much problem right now. I mean, these issues are domestic violence, but on the other hand, we have women's rights defenders or women's rights defending organizations, which I mentioned actually below. This is a coalition to stop violence against women, Women's Support Center, and Women's Resource Center, and others that give totally different numbers on domestic violence during these days, conditioned by COVID-19 condition. Because when there is domestic violence or women is beaten severely, and where is lockdown, she simply, and where is the direct control over her all the time, 24 hours, it's a real problem for her to just give a call to police or to find these organizations who will just try to help her. And this is another real issue that exists now. And I put the last point here at women rights defender organizations. So besides these policies and legislations we have, these challenges, as I mentioned, they do exist still in Armenia. And these are women's rights real defenders and organizations who, besides scholars who do great job doing this or that research, these people are trying to practically help these women and protect their rights. And I just put a few of them so which you can later Google if you're interested in their activities as well. So probably this much. And here I will stop probably sharing also my presentation. And let's see, either Narnia is going to continue or it's still my turn. Can
Okay, I can continue then.
I will just, are you going to continue with INSEE or shall I continue with Council of Europe's activities?
Let's continue with Council of Europe projects.
Okay. Okay, so these were some kind of general introduction to the policies existing in Armenia, and I tried briefly to show what practices also we have simultaneously. And now let's jump into our work with Uses Power NGO and try to introduce briefly again what we have managed to do. So in 2017, we organized an event training for young people, for Armenian young people, which aimed to raise, first of all, their awareness on gender equality issues and human rights education, providing through in the context of human rights and providing also human rights education to them. So this was empowering women in the context of gender equality and human rights training. You can see in the slide, on the slide. And you also see from the title that women were at the flash. The whole idea behind this is that we wanted to target both women and men equally and empower them equally and to bring in order to develop their sensitivity as well on gender issues equally. The target, as I've already mentioned, these were young people, men and women, and they were coming from different actually backgrounds, different professional backgrounds of different ages, young people who starting with the age of 18 to 35, and most importantly, with different gender sensitivity grades. We had people who had some gender sensitivity, we have people who didn't have, and we have even people who didn't have this, not only didn't have this gender sensitivity, but were some kind of like, have some kind of like intolerance even. And our mission, if we can say so, or our aim was to provide basic concepts, basic tools and techniques that would allow them to overcome this intolerance, first of all, intolerance and also stereotypes, challenge them, and also provide this gender sensitivity as much as possible. And probably you would ask, was it easy? Nope, that was not easy. But was it possible? The answer is definitely yes. And how? Just applying different techniques. So first of all, we provided knowledge on key concepts. What is gender? what is the gender equality, what is a gender stereotype, gender as a social institution, and its interaction with other social institutions, like I've already mentioned, media, education, family, and how this institution simultaneously interact with each other and influence gender formation, as well as normalization and standardization of gender norms and stereotypes in society. We also provided this through formal education method, through most importantly storytelling, which also kind of gave them an opportunity to identify themselves in the context with the problem, and trying also to challenge them through role plays. We have over 25 participants, and after the training, we had follow-up activities in 7 different regions of Armenia and in the capital of Armenia, Yerevan. Overall, we had over 200 participants participating in this follow-up actions. So after this, the next year, we decided to continue our training on empowering women and men in the context again of gender equality, but most importantly through critical thinking. Why? Because the first training showed us that the most difficult or challenging thing for us was to make our participants think critically and view these existing problems, real gender problems, women's rights problems, from critical perspective, from critical lens. Something which, frankly speaking, being as an education expert as well, I know for sure that now our education system lacks and even hinders or doesn't contribute to critical thinking development in Armenia. We can, of course, speak very, very long on this, which I will not, of course, because of the time, which is short. But during the recent decades, the Armenian system of education is such that it doesn't really contribute to the development of critical thinking. Just to give an example, at university, a student is encouraged to take the notes or lectures. Then a student will get the student who will get the highest mark is the one who will learn just by heart every single word in the lecture. So the idea was that first of all, we need to give basic techniques and tools to our participants of the training to develop their critical thinking, to introduce critical thinking as a complex and way of thinking and skills that will allow them to analyze and evaluate the issue, in this case gender issues, in the Armenian context, and try to evaluate, not only just to learn about them, to get past the knowledge, but also evaluate them and based on it form judgment on the issues. So again, what was the difference? First of all, we provided basic techniques and some models on critical thinking to our participants, which already allowed them to applying this critical thinking, go deeper and observe different layers on gender issues. And the most important thing was to make them think not only critically, but from different positions. So here the key idea was give the opportunity to the positionality, or to evaluate, appreciate and evaluate at the same time different viewpoints. Because if you believe that, let's say, this problem doesn't exist or it exists in this way only, it's important to give you a chance to view the problem from different viewpoints, from different triangles. This is what we actually did. And again, our participants were from different regions, and we have, after the training, 2 follow-up activities in 2 regions this time of Armenia, and overall 35 participants participated in this follow-up activities. And here I will finish. Here you can also see our contacts. First, Youth Power NGO contact, then comes mine, then Narina's, and you can see also our Facebook official page, Youth Power NGO. And in case of any kind of questions to the links to research papers, to our trainings or activities, you can just text us and we will get in touch. Thank you. And now, Narina, the floor is yours. I will stop here sharing my screen.
Thank you, Ani. Thank you for a nostalgia. All our participants in the screen, it was a real nostalgia. We had a wonderful projects with them, and it was great because we had a snowball effect during the follow-up activities. I want to greet all people who have just joined us here and also in Facebook page. We will keep time for questions and answers. Also, we will have time for discussion, and you can share your emotions and your ideas on the main topic of gender equality. I will share my screen and go for the next session, because we have divided our conference into two parts. First was about the policy and particularly the work that Youth Power NGO is doing in the framework of gender equality and women empowerment. And thank you to Amiko Joyan for this presentation. And the next part of our conference is dedicated to the network that's called EEE. I will share my slide with you.
So, Naren, you know that I am the guardian of the time here all the time, and so we have 20 more minutes for this session, and so I just would like to ask you if it's possible to keep some time for question at the end.
Yeah. 10 minutes we will keep for the questions and answers.
Okay, thank you.
So EENCE, which is an abbreviation of Eastern European Network for Citizenship Education. This network is established in 2015 within the big conference of citizenship education all over the world that's called NICE conference, and it combined the countries from Eastern Partnership. These countries, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Moldova, Ukraine, and Russia. These are the countries that are member and part of ENC community. The main aim of ENC is to boost and promote citizenship education within the region, Eastern Partnership region, and also to provide a platform and space as well as time for the experts, individual experts, also organizations, to share their best practices and their vision on future of citizenship education. The ANC platform is supported by Federal Agency for Civic Education, which is working in Germany, and the funds are coming from the Federal Foreign Office of Germany. So I'm one of the members of Coordination Council. In INSEE, we have a Coordination Council, and each year we are having an election to choose a Coordination Council. We will take care of the coordination staff and further development of the network. How INSEE is working. INSEE is connected and is divided to a working group. So within the ENC, we have working groups. At this very moment, we have 11 of them. So the first working group is called Women in Local Communities, which is led by me, Amiko Joyan, and the other colleagues and institutions who are members of ENC are a part of this small working group. But besides working on gender issues on this working group, we have working groups on SDGs, promotion of human rights education, also civic education, political education, and citizenship education. Each year, we are having a call, and the members of ENC can connect and also express their interest and combine a new working group. So each time we are refreshing these working groups, and these working groups is a key part of ENC work. This is a map of ENC in which you see both organizations, institutions, as well as experts. So it means that in ENC we have individual experts, and it's not obligatory to have only organizations and institutions to be part of it. And at the below part, you see the flags of the countries that are part of ENC. These are photos from the annual meetings of the network. Each year, the network is having a big meeting with all members and institutions, and they are trying to reflect, to share what they have done during the year, what challenges and problems they have in citizenship education. They are trying to share the best experiences and practices they have done within the year, and planning the future work of the network. Last year, we have organized the biggest event of the network that's called ENC Summit. It was organized by the consortium of the network, and the host organization was CSRDG from Georgia. And in Batumi, Georgia, we have organized this summit, which, as I told, was the biggest event of our network so far. It combined a lot of organizations from Eastern Partnership countries and Russia, as well as other countries who are interested within the region and wanted to invest in the region and development of citizenship education within the region. So we have a lot of speakers. We have a time for open space sessions. We have workshops, discussions, and also before the summit we have a call for a contest during which the experts of citizenship education shared their practices, and we have a ceremony, award during which the best practices of citizenship education were awarded. And as I told, we have a lot of working groups, small working groups in the framework of the network. And one of the working groups calls Women in Local Communities. And this working group is working in the issue of gender equality. So far, we have organized two trainings. During the trainings, the experts and organizations can come to Armenia, and we were speaking about gender stereotypes, about the conception of gender equality, about the policy that we are having in each Eastern Partnership country in regard to gender equality. And the first training was also dedicated to make needs assessment in future work of this working group and plan the future steps. Besides the first training, we have organized also the second one, which was like a result of the first training. The title of the training was Active Citizenship Through Social Entrepreneurship. It was a real need of the experts and institutions of the working group because they showed their interest to increase and develop their skills and knowledge in social entrepreneurship as a tool of women empowerment, because especially in the far east part of Armenia, Georgia, Belarus, Ukraine, these are the countries who are involved in the in this working group. They need some specific tools and skills in social entrepreneurship, such as how to create a business plan, how to make a good marketing, how make a good PR for their social enterprises. And these all skills will help them in future to include women, girls into social entrepreneurship and to make them as an active citizens in their local communities. Besides the main activities that we have in Armenia, the participants, actually the experts of the working group, did follow-up activities once they come back to their own communities or their own countries. And in total, we have such activities in Armenia, Belarus, and Ukraine. 5 activities we have in such countries, and the participants were really happy to share and to invest in this process. This year, ENC network is planning to have the second biggest event of the network, which is planned to be from 5th till 11th of October. And I invite everyone who is hearing us to be a part of this event. And the main aim of this event is to promote citizenship education and the best practices of citizenship education in Eastern Partnership countries, and also to strengthen the cooperation between the ENC members as well as with external participants that are working in the field. So I invite everyone to be part of this event. And the way how you can be a part, we organize 3 contests. So each of you who is interested in citizenship education and in this region, in Eastern Partnership region, you can be a part by participating in the first contest, which is a contest of promotional citizenship educational video. So, and the second chance is to be a part of the posters contest, and the third opportunity is to be a part of the best online practices of citizenship education. And we have one more event. Those who are interested in the region, is working in the region, you can propose your event within the week from 5th till 11th of October, and the best events will get financial support from the organizers, from BPB, to organize their events, and the winners of the contest will have also prizes and opportunity to be part of the International Conference of Citizenship Education called NICI Conference. These are the contacts of the network, and if you feel that you are interested to be a part of the contest and to be a part of this Citizenship Education Week, please connect and write an email. I have put here 2 emails. Svetlana Alenitska is a general coordinator of the network, and I put also the official website of the network. I guess it's all from my side. I will be happy.
And Narin, we have a message from Hela from Tunis. Hela, that just have something to say to you, because we have only less than 10 minutes now. So I'm sorry to cut you, but I really would like to interact with people, and she has a nice thing to say to you. So, Hela? Hello. Hela, could you switch off your microphone? Thank you.
Yes, hello. Thank you for these presentations. They were really, really valuable. I also belong to a network that is international, but in Tunisia, we do have this network which is about global education, and it's called Tunisian Education and Resource Network. We work a lot on global education, cross-cultural education, and also citizenship education. And we have just started, we started just before COVID-19. We started a club called Global Citizenship Education, and we are working on SDG 4, of course. I was very happy to hear that you're doing the same thing in that part of Europe, and I will be more than glad to have the teachers interact with you and maybe take part in the conference virtually, but we couldn't have all the addresses and also the date of the conference because everything was on your slides. So could you please share that with us?
Sure. Thank you, Hela. It was really inspirational remark from your side because we are really looking forward to have to increase our network and to include more partners, not only from Eastern Partnership region, but also from worldwide. So I think that my colleagues will be happy to be in contact with you. So I will kindly ask Delphine to share this PowerPoint presentation with the participants so you can have these links. You can directly write to these emails and we will respond to your email, and we will be also happy to hear about your best practices and I hope that we will get you involved in our contest as well, and we can be in contact in future.
We have another question. We have another question too from Anna. Anna, could you switch off your microphone and make the question? Thank you.
Sure. So thank you very much for this presentation. It was really interesting to hear about the activities you develop in Armenia and in ENC. I was wondering, it's more of a general question. So do women's shelters exist in Armenia? And do any of your organizations develop some projects on women empowerment with women victims? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, shall I answer to this question?
Yep.
Thank you, Anna, for the questions. Yes, shelters exist in Armenia, and the organizations and NGOs that I've mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation, as you see, one of them, Women's Support Center, organizes this shelter support to women, for women. And the rest, the ones that I mentioned there, Women's Resource Center and the others, they provide psychological support or legal support and advice. But only when this Women's Support Center provides this shelter support to them.
Okay, thank you. And so just as a conclusion, I have an open question for you all, all of you, all the participants. We have been speaking a bit about the violence, domestic violence, discrimination, and all that things. We are some women from different countries now, and you have speaking Annie about the COVID-19 too, and what kind of impact the confinement had on this kind of problem, you know. And I'm just asking if you have from now some kind of visibility about that or not, and if you are working on it. And I would like to ask to all the other participants if in their country it's the same case. So Feriel, you have something to say, or Hela?
Yes, I think COVID-19 had a big impact on girls in Tunisia, at least there was an increasing violence against women. And so we were very much aware of that. And all the women's organizations stood up together to fight this and to stop violence. Also in education, what we tried to do is to keep in touch with the girls and boys who were out of school during time of confinement due to schools closures. But really we wanted to give them voice, and we had plenty of webinars just to hear what the young people are thinking about that. And of course, many of them talked about the importance of getting all the necessary skills to be updated in new forms of education, and that traditional forms of education cannot really get good results in terms of quality education. And that's why I think it's important for us today not to be left alone, but to be together, to think together, to put our heads together, to see what we can do in the future for this citizenship education, because we've seen that all this problem, all this pandemic was an international one, and no one was spared. So important for us to be working together, I think.
Thank you. Somebody else want to say something else about this topic? Maybe another point of view coming from another country? I see, for example, Sarah Kebu. Sarah, if you can switch off your microphone, if you have something you want to add to that, this is the moment. No? Or Anna? This is okay. There is Anna. Yes, you want to say something?
Well, I'm actually based in France, but I'm originally from Serbia, and I think that the situation is, as in many countries, the same. First of all, there was an increase of calls to these women's shelters, and also an increase in the need of psychological support for these women. And on the other hand, women workers were on the front line during the COVID, working in supermarkets or anywhere else. So yeah, I think it was a bit global issue of women rights during COVID.
Okay, thank you, Anna. We are going to stop this session. We are arriving to the end. So I just would like to thank you all for your participation, particularly Naren and Annie, for all this information, and for you to invite us to participate to other workshops and other initiatives you have. This is really interesting, and thank you all of you to give your different point of view. I hope we will have more time to follow with the discussion, and we are going to have some more activities today, so you can join us about gender equality in and entrepreneurship, for example, this afternoon. So really glad to meet you all, and I'm going to make what Hela said, to put you all in contact so you can follow to share your experience or organize new initiative with Naren. Thank you all. Have a really nice day. Today is the Mother Day, so for the women that are mother, happy Mother Day to all of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.